I reside permanently in a temporary structure. Itself and its opposite exist simultaneously, like a quantum computer of 0 and 1. In fact, it is 0 and 1 because it's a samech with an aleph inside. And this aleph and samech signify Ein Sof, and it also signifies Sitra Akra. The Sitra Akra resides within Ein Sof. And when you see Ein Sof, you see Sitra Akra within it. It's a duality that merges into a singularity. The singularity is dual. This permanent impermanence is the Mishkan. In a certain sense, Rod Lo, the head that's not a head and is unknown to what it's thinking about, yet it's the ultimate head. So this duality is found in the highest realms. Rod Lo, fully spelt out, is 1,119. This is a familiar number because the Shema, in all its gematria, if you take the entire line of the Shema, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, comes out to be 1,118. And then when you say the Shema, you close your eyes and you put the Aleph in front. That Aleph, so it's a plus 1, 1,118 for the Shema, plus 1. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Plus the 1 that's in front there comes out to be 1,119, which is the same as Rod Lo, the highest level. Rod Lo has 3 heads of Keter, Chochmah, and Bina, of Atik Yomin. It's the uncovered head. In a certain sense, it's a beard and 2 wings here of hair. It's 3 heads. It's the law of 3. And then the 7 lower aspects that cover of Atik Yomin, that's the law of 7. And as you know, there are 2 laws, law of 3 and the law of 7. 3 is the circle. In Rod Lo, the law of 3, it's Keter, Chochmah, Bina. The first 3 letters there are Kaf, 20, Het, 8, Bet, 2. 30 is the talk. 28 and 2 is 30. And those 3 Sephirot there each have 10 each. It's 30 also. And that's the name Yud, Hey, Yud, Hey. And there's division in these highest realms. Just like there's a separation between the Holy of Holies and the holy space in the temple. There's always a division, even when you think you're together. There's always a left to the right, even when they come together. There's always a negation to the positron, to the positing. The positing brings the negation itself. And the negation is fundamental to the positing. And actually occurs before it. That's why it's called Rod Low. The head that is not comes from the level of not. No. No precedes a yes. Even in the saying in Islam, it's La ilaha. La, it starts with a negative. Negative is higher than the positive. That's why they call it Ein Sof, without N, negative, Ein. This must be understood. This is my will to lose that predicates life itself. That's why the etzmots level is a tree of death. Everything is predicated on death. And if you don't think so, wait a couple of years. See what happens to you. So all this positron is an escape from death and from reality. And that's why to be really positron, you have to die before you die. You see? In a certain sense, that's like what happened to me a few months ago when I got the coronavirus in the middle of February. And then I had it for 12 days. And then the middle of March, I was told by a doctor friend, yes, oh, you had it. So you have antibodies. And then all of a sudden, I'm fearless. I had it. I'm dead. See, I had it. When I'm dead, then I can be alive. I don't have to be fearful to get it, because I had it. I don't have to be fearful of death because I died. Remember, all death is a psychological death. And each day when you go to sleep, it's 1/60th of death. Sleep is 1/60th of death. And when you wake up, you're born again. To feel totally alive, you must feel that you're already dead. And that opens up the barriers, you see, because there are barriers between each world. And what just happened to me in the past couple of days is the barriers to my fourth world opened up. As I said about having Aketerel, you see. That opened me up. And even for my tennis, I now have my, what's called Daled Amos. I've changed my service motion. I have freedom in the side muscles, the ribs. I can reach higher into the upper planes instead of down, wider. What falls into my daladamos, into my space, comes from a different level, comes from the fifth level. The Yehida, everything that comes into my space is supposed to be there, and it's been sent there. My signs, the birds, the flies, the manna, the food that drops in, the thoughts, what I read, comes in. Because there's no barriers. There's no protection. I've often said that I died when I was 31, when I gave up tennis, playing to become a tennis pro. It's a change of status. When you change status, you die. It's the same thing. It's like when they say when a person, I think it's in the Talmud, even in Judaism, when you lose your money, you're like a dead man. When you change status, when you go from one status to the other. Everybody knows what's a lowest status. When that happens, that's a death. How lucky you are to die when you're young. So these past 40 years, I've been living already dead. And then a couple years ago, when my total family died, have a second death. Because everything in Judaism you have to have twice. You have Pesach and Pesach Sheni. You have Purim and Purim Katan in certain years. Everything is a duality. That's why the Torah starts with the bet. Because there's two-ness. There's a here and a now. There's a future and a past. There's a get it and don't get it. And you'd be very surprised to find out that the highest thing, it's just like the most beautiful flower has to be from a manure. The fertilizer, fancy word, for manure. And that's what it has to be. And the 11 spices. There's 10 sweet-smelling spices, incense, the incense. 11 incense, 10 sweet-smelling, and 1 foul-smelling, which is associated with da'as, for me, by the way, which enters into the Sitra Akra, by the way. And that's what makes the beauty. Otherwise, the sweet mixture doesn't mix well unless you have the foul smelling. And that's even the way it starts in the Zohar as a Shoshana amongst thorns. There has to be thorns, there has to be din. In every word there's dinim. Without the dinam, you don't have it. Because the dinam comes from Elohim. And Elohim is the source. Not Yud-Kei and Vav-Kei. Yud-Kei, Vav-Kei is the pleasant. It's the Shabbos. It's the second coming. The second version of the creation. But it's based on Elohim. 5 dinams, of the 5 letters of Elohim. And the beauty of Adonai Hu Ha Elohim. Very sweet. And no matter where you are, it's even in a marriage, you have to crack a glass. You know, you step on the glass in the marriage. Because the happiest time is, they call it the destruction of the temple. And what is the destruction of the temple but the destruction of the body? The body. And 2 temples were destroyed. And again, double. And then we're talking about a 3rd temple. And what is the 3rd temple but the body? There's not going to be a temple coming down. It's already down. It's your body. It's a recognition of you and your consciousness. Do you get it? And this is all predicated not on this positive thinking, because you see, this is what we're seeing in the society for so many years. The positive thinking, the Protestant ethic of positive thinking, you see, is a mind wash to keep you beneath the wheel. That things will be better. That the Mashiach is coming. That these are the footsteps of the Mashiach. Once you recognize the true Mashiach principle, the true Mashiach principle is the drive, the perpetuation of the same. It keeps you locked in. And so you have to understand these things. And there's other levels beyond this Mashiach concept. And it's for you to see through the idea that a Mashiach is coming, because the Mashiach doesn't come in a physical sense different than it is right now in the present. Because the present has to contain the negative. And the Ein Sof has to contain the Sitra Achra. And if it doesn't for you, you don't get it. You see? And the blessing is to be cursed. The more you're cursed, the more you're blessed. You know, in the relative apparent, what a curse is and what a blessing is, from a positive point of view. From a real point of view, you know, you see that the curse is the blessing. That's what makes soul music. Not chewing gum pop. You know? So if you want to see it, you can see it. Be the 11th spice. Be the 5 thorns. Accept the slap in the face. That's why they say turn the other cheek. See? Turn the other cheek so you could be slapped there. And then turn the other cheek to be slapped there. And say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for slapping me. And what do they do when a baby comes out? At least they used to. Nobody, I don't know what they do now. They used to spank the baby to get him breathing. Spare the rod, spoil the child. But things have changed. They've been rearranged. They're deranged. So this little rant of mine is because I've entered into different worlds. And it's beautiful. Just beautiful.